You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button.
As we inch closer to the offseason and talking season, one thing that we do know is the sports books are putting out projected win totals now for college football. And DraftKings, who's been a great partner of ours, has updated their projected win totals now post-spring and post-spring football. And so I want to run through these because there's some interesting ones. And, we'll see how these might alter. Certainly the spring football will alter some of these, will cause some of these numbers to change, and also transfer portal, things of that nature as players come and go might change. I mean, for example, obviously Auburn just picking up Thorne from Michigan State, Tyler Buckner leaving Notre Dame, going to Alabama. Those are pivotal things that could influence a win total projection. So in any event, let's look at the DraftKings projected win totals. I won't bury the lead for everyone here because most everyone, of course, cares mostly about LSU and what the Tigers' projected win total is. And DraftKings has LSU at 9.5, over under 9.5 on the win total. I'll follow up with that in a second. Some of the other things that are notable: Georgia is at 11.5, and we've talked so much this offseason about Georgia's schedule, and so for good reason you see Georgia right there. It's really just a question of, do they slip up somewhere? Remember, a year ago, Georgia was on the ropes at Missouri. Sometimes you're the best team, you're the better team, but you have a bad day, and that can happen. And Georgia does have questions. Stetson Bennett's gone. Their entire defense is now with the Philadelphia Eagles. You replace Todd Monken as your offensive coordinator. There are questions at Georgia. Now, their schedule is completely manageable, and they are loaded with talent, but do they have an off day like some teams tend to do? I thought it was interesting. Steve Robertson was here with us during our SEC spring recaps. He covers Mississippi State for Gene's page, and he told us that his feeling was Mississippi State's floor was 7. DraftKings has State's projected win total over under 6.5. That would suggest they're either a 6 or 7 win team. Vegas disagrees with Steve. Tennessee, off of their best season in 2 decades, projected win total at 9.5, right there with LSU, of course, in a weakened SEC East. That's one to keep an eye on. And then Alabama, with all the questions surrounding, still at 10.5, their projected win total. If I run through this, and I just did this off the cuff, I would tell you, I think the top of the league, you probably see them go under. And the bottom of the league, you probably see a lot of overs. Like, I think Vanderbilt will go over 3.5. I think Tennessee will go under 9.5. I think South Carolina will go over 6.5. I think Bama will go under 10.5. I think they'll go 10-2 at best this year. So I think it's a thing like that. Like, I think Auburn, which, Hugh Freeze's first year, I'm going to tell you, like, when you look at Auburn's schedule, their 4 non-conference games should be layups. And their projected win totals at 6.5. Like, I think Auburn can get to 8-4 this year. I think they're going to lose to Bama and to LSU and to Georgia and probably one more. But I think Auburn, even with that schedule, Hugh Freeze is a good enough coach, I think, to get them to 8 wins. So that's an interesting one just to keep an eye on. But again, DraftKings projected win total has LSU at 9.5. So do we think LSU can go 10-2? Or are they a 9-3 team? It'll be interesting to watch. The other thing, and I want to do this, we'll do this real time. But the other thing that we've seen is the ESPN FPI has updated its game-by-game projections. So I want to do this real time, and we'll go one game by game. So I'll show you. We'll just to illustrate the projected percent chance that LSU has, according to FPI, of winning each given game on their schedule. What is interesting and noteworthy is, and the reason I'll point this out, you'll see in a moment here, they are projecting, so FPI has LSU as the 4th best team in college football going into this season, and they project LSU with a projected win total of 9.6 wins, 2.6 losses. So essentially saying 10-2, 9-3. It's basically what FPI is saying right there. Here's why it's interesting. If we go game by game, let's look at the games that would be questionable for LSU. So, for example, Florida State, if that's a 50-50 game, right? We've seen the odds of the game. LSU's about a 1.5 favorite. FPI gives LSU a 68.2% chance of winning that game. So FPI likes LSU in that Florida State game. They'll be a heavy favorite against Grambling. They're on the road against Mississippi State. That's, a road conference game, but FPI still gives LSU an 80.6% chance of beating Mississippi State on the road. Arkansas is at home. LSU has an 86.9% chance of beating Arkansas in Baton Rouge. So, again, you're not seeing any of these really be competitive. The Ole Miss game is on the road. LSU a 66.3% chance. LSU, essentially, they're saying has nearly the same percent chance of beating Ole Miss as Florida State, which is a little surprising. Tigers go to Missouri. They give LSU an 81% chance of beating Missouri. You understand? You don't need to remember all these numbers, but just understand the point that I'm making here. The home game against Auburn, LSU has an 88.7% chance of beating Auburn, according to ESPN's FPI. They have a non-conference game in October against Army. LSU had 98.3% chance of beating Army. Alabama is the one where LSU is going to be a dog, and FPI gives LSU a 23.9% chance of beating Alabama. And then they finish out the season by playing Florida in Baton Rouge. LSU, 81.5% of beating Florida. They'll play Georgia State and then the Texas A&M game. The Texas A&M game, LSU at home has an 80.3% chance of beating Texas A&M. So, point is, which do you believe? Do you believe Vegas? Do you believe FPI? And the interesting thing is the contradiction within FPI. Here's what I mean. Vegas has LSU's win total at 9.5, which I think is perfectly reasonable. Could LSU be a 10-2, 9-3 team? Sure. But FPI, their season projection for LSU is 9-3. 9.6 wins, 2.6 losses. So right there, 9-3, 10-2. Not only is LSU by FPI have a larger than 50 shot of winning every game except Bama, it's overwhelming. I mean, FPI likes LSU a 68% chance. LSU actually has a greater chance. FPI is saying LSU has a better chance of winning against Florida State in the opener than they do of going to Ole Miss and winning. Ole Miss ain't gonna sniff the top 10 this year, but they're saying LSU has a better chance of beating Florida State than Ole Miss. 80% chance against Mississippi State on the road, 87% against Arkansas, 81% against Missouri, 88% against Auburn, 98% against Army, 81% against Florida, 80% against A&M. It's overwhelming. Point being, FPI is basically telling you, even though their season projection says 9-3, 10-2, the game-by-game projection is telling you they're 11-1. The only game LSU shouldn't win by percentage is Alabama on the road in Tuscaloosa. If that's the case, if LSU's sitting there at 11-1 and their only loss is a close road loss in Tuscaloosa, that's a situation where they may not even have to play in Atlanta. They'll still get in the playoff at 11-1. I get it. It's talking season. Got a lot to do. But the computers, the humans love LSU. LSU is going to be a top 10 team. They're going to be favored to win a lot of games. A lot of people are going to pick them to win the West. The humans love LSU. The computers really love LSU. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.